Check one. Check 1, 2, check. So you have
No.
the thing on number 2. What channel is it? I think it's on A3. Hit the, turn it on.
A9.
Beautiful. Okay. So now you can tell me if you can hear my guitar. On there? You might have to go. It's loud? Wow. All right. Then I better tune. Shabbat Shalom. This is the 4th week in the Hebrew month of Shvat, which means that next week, Tuesday night, begins the Hebrew month of Adar 1. Adar is the Hebrew month where we are commanded to be happy because Adar contains the celebratory holiday of Purim. And we know that Congregation Etz Chaim is the Purim capital of North America. And so even if we have to wait until Adar 2, we still get to be happy in the first month of Adar. Tonight is Inclusion Disability Awareness Shabbat. It's an exciting time in the history of our congregation as we celebrate those who are passionate about inclusion and welcome to those with different abilities to our congregation. We are so grateful to partner with our inclusion specialist, Rachel Wood, who made that beautiful Siddur, the prayer book that you are using this evening. We also welcome back our Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Bob, who is the unofficial campus rabbi of Wheaton College. And he brings us a group of Wheaton College students who just returned from their Passages Israel trip. One can think of Passages Israel as birthright for evangelical Christian students. But during the Oneg Shabbat, please feel free to welcome our guests and speak to them about their recent visit to Israel. We come now to Shabbat, our time of joy, our time of rest, and our time of peace. And we begin our service with the singing of Hine Ma Tov, which is a song that says how wonderful and pleasant it is when we sit together and we are in unity and harmony with one another. Please join me for Hine Ma Tov.
Pleasure to sanctify our Shabbat candles and invite up Julie Evans and Beth Spenadel.
Amen.
We now turn in our Siddurim to page 3 as I invite the congregation to please rise in either body or spirit for the bar of food. seated, and it is my pleasure to lead us in our Ma'ariv Aravim to invite up Jackson Hood.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah potea sha'arim, uvitvuna mishana itim, umachaliv et hazmanim, umsader et hakokavim, b'mishmarotechem barakia kirsono, borei yom v'layla, goleo or mipnei choshet, v'choshet mipnei or uma'avir yom umevi laila, umevdil bein yom uvein laila, Adonai sebaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
We continue now on the top of page 4. Use the skills that I have got. Do not focus on what I have not. Of course, I am aware of my limitation, yet I am a part of God's wonderful creation. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael be'ahava. We now turn to page 5 as we rise in either body or spirit for the Shema. Pleasure to invite up Marcia Sweeten to lead us in our Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chal levacha v'chal nefnecha u'kayom v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela Asher Anochi Mitzavcha Hayom Alvavecha Vishinantam Levanecha Vidibarta Ban Vishiftacha B'veitecha Ulaftecha B'derech Ushachbecha U'kumecha U'kshartam Decha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'tavtam al mezuzot b'techa u'visharecha l'man tizkuru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kloshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hosei Tichem, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Lihyot Lachem, Elohim, Ani, Adonai Elohechem.
I long to accomplish a great and noble task, but it is my chief duty to accomplish small tasks as if they were great and noble.
Please join together with the singing of Mi Chamocha.
Amen.
together in the English by Anne Frank on the top of page 7. Give of yourself, give as much as you can, and you can always, always give something, even if it is only kindness. If everyone were to do this and not be as mean with a kindly word, then there would be much more justice and love in the world. Give and you shall receive much more than you would have if thought possible. Give again and again. Don't lose courage. Keep it up and go on giving. No one has ever become poor from giving.
The Hashkivenu prayer that comes at this time in the service is a prayer that asks for protection. See, in the olden days, walking around in the dark was scary. There were robbers who could rob you. There were wild beasts that could maul you. All sorts of things can happen in the darkness. Today, we understand this prayer as a metaphoric protection, the idea that when we feel we are in darkness, it's easy to feel that it can be dangerous to be walking alone. And that's why it is the prayer that we say together, Hashkivenu, that we hope that we can walk together and be light unto each other. Baruch atah Adonai hapurei sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
As holy darkness descends upon me, I offer this prayer to you, my God. May the peace and the holiness which I feel this night remain with me always. May my fears give way to faith, and may my pains soon give way to laughter. And may the lessons of the darkness fill my days with awe, so that I may learn to experience you, my God, all the days and nights of my life. We continue now with the song Vishamru, a song that is done only on Shabbat. Most of the prayers that we have done already tonight were ones that we do every day, 2 or 3 times during the day during the week. But this song, Vishamru, is only for Shabbat. To our congregational tefillah on page 9, and I invite everyone to please rise as we begin our wonderful Amidah prayer. Adonai sefatati ta ufia gita gilatecha. Adonai sefatati ta ufia gita gilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לפני עיניהם למען שמו ואהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם עזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני לחיי מתים אתה רב ומושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מחמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Everyone may be seated as we continue together in the English in the middle of page 11. We're the same, we're different. That's what makes the world such fun. Many kinds of people, not just one. A rainbow would be boring if it were only green or blue. What makes a rainbow beautiful is that it has every hue. So aren't you glad you look like you? We're different, we're the same. We continue now with Shalom Rav, followed by silent meditation.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Lechol hashalom, shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. Bechol eid ubechol shah bishlomecha. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim
In a moment, we'll begin our Seder Kriyat Torah, our service for reading the Torah. But before we do, we're going to turn to page 14 for the Interfaith Litany for Wholeness. Now, in Hebrew, wholeness, similar to complete, would be translated in Hebrew as shalom. So another translation for this litany would, of course, also be the Interfaith Litany for Wholeness and Peace. So we'll continue responsibly. Let us pray for all God's people, for people who are blind and cannot see, and for those who can see but are blind to the people around them.
God, in your mercy.
For people who move slowly because of accident, illness, or disability, and for those who move too fast to be aware of the world in which they live.
God, in your mercy.
For people who are deaf and cannot hear, and for those who can hear but ignore the cries of others. God, in your mercy, help us to respond to each other. For people who learn slowly, for people who learn in different ways, and for people who learn quickly and easily, but often choose ignorance. God, in your mercy, help us to grow in your wisdom. For families, friends, and caregivers who serve people with disabilities, and for those who feel awkward in their presence. God, in your mercy, help us see each other with your eyes. For people who feel isolated by their disabilities, and for people who contribute to that sense of isolation.
God, in your mercy, change our lives.
For all the people in your creation, that we may learn to respect each other and learn how to live together in peace.
God, in your mercy, bind us together.
And together, amen. We now continue with Seder Kriyat HaTorah.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kemaasecha, malchutecha malchut kol amim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch leolam vaed. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Vashalom, Vashalom.
In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now.
Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Baruch Shem Adonai Torah, Baruch Shem Adonai Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, Yidushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlu Adonai iti un romama shemo yachdav. Exalt Adonai with me. Let us extol God's name together. may be seated. Our portion this evening is Mishpatim. Now, last week we began the revelation at Mount Sinai, and this week we continue with the list of Mishpatim, or laws, with which the Israelites can govern themselves. This begins with laws on damages and servitude, but we also hear in this portion and in many portions that we must be kind and love and give love to the stranger. Now, the stranger, of course, can be someone we don't know, but the rabbis also say it can be someone we know very well, but who has had a different experience than we have. In some ways, this law really just tells us that we need to listen. Now, we hear some of the early laws on dietary restrictions in this portion, like we can't cook a kid in its mother's milk, which then the rabbis took to mean that any meat or poultry and dairy together would be forbidden. Now, in this portion, there are 53 laws, 23 positive and 30 prohibitive, or 23 do's and 30 don'ts. The Israelites proclaim, of course, that they will do and they will hear at the end of the portion, which I believe to be an interesting order of actions, first to do and then to hear. But at the end of the portion, Moses heads up to the Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights to record the entire Torah. There is a midrash, an interpretation on the story that I've always liked, that Moses understood the entirety of the Torah when he first ascended the mountain, an instantaneous revelation, but it just took him 40 days to write it all down. Now, this portion I will read tonight is in your Siddurim prayer books, but it is Exodus chapter 21, verses 1 through 4. Yamod Mordechai ben Shlomo l'Aliyah HaTorah. Yamod Harel Reuven ben Mordechai ben Naomi l'Aliyah HaTorah. Baruch Adonai HaMbarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Ve'la hamishpatim asher tasim lifnehem ki tikne ever ivri sheshanim yavod uvashviit yitzeh lechofshi chinam im begapo yavov begapo yitzeh im baal isha hu vitzeh ishto imo im adonav yitein lo isha v'yelda lo vanim o vanot haisha v'yaldeha Hayta le'adoneha v'haya v'hu yitzeh v'gapo.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan v'kotenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Our thoughts now turn to those of our community and families who are ill and in need of healing. We think this evening of Aaron Alcock, Norm Block, Sandy Cohen, Jill Ford, Beverly Bob, and all who suffer, whom we know not by name. Misha berach avotenu Abraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarek v'yirapet kol cholei Yisrael, v'yishlach lachem b'mheira refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh refuat haguf, v'nomar Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all who are stricken. May the Holy One of Praise mercifully restore them to health and to vigor. May God grant them health of body, health of spirit, and of mind. And let us say, Amen. Yamod Yaakov ben Avram v'Sara Hagba. Yamod Avram ben Yaakov ubela Golelet. We rise for Hagba.
Asher Samoshe
lifnei v'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai biad Moshe.
Everyone may be seated. And it is my pleasure to invite up to read our prayer for Israel, which can be found on page 18, Jody and Dave Wertzman.
O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the drawing of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fulfillment of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
As we turn now to the following page, on the bottom of this page, we rise one more time as we return the Torah to the ark. Everyone may be seated.
Shabbat Shalom. I would ask for sympathy for my voice tonight, but I had a water main break earlier today. I'd rather have sympathy for that. My house got a little shower, and then we had a skating rink in our driveway, so until tomorrow when it turns 40 degrees, come on over. I'm thrilled to welcome you to the first Inclusion Shabbat service that we've ever conducted here at Congregation at Chaim. And I'm really excited that we get to do this because about 5 years ago, a group of congregational representatives from area congregations, I'm wearing my guitar. Hold on one second. I mean, it's a pretty accessory, but let's try that again. A group of congregational representatives from different area congregations met in our library to discuss what their congregations were doing to be more inviting to those with different abilities and how they could reach out even better and become more welcoming and accessible. And at that time, Congregation at Chaim was already way ahead, doing more than most of the area congregations to be inclusive. But that conversation inspired me to encourage all of us as a community to continue to do even more, to welcome those who may not feel like they can take advantage of the social, religious, and spiritual aspects of the congregation because of the limitations maybe of the building, maybe our Shabbat and holiday services were not accessible, or maybe how we offer classes did not fit what they physically needed. And I'm proud to say that 5 years later, we're still ahead of the curve, striving to do more to welcome those who would otherwise not be included in the Jewish community, those who feel or are marginalized, But with Rachel Wood stepping into the role of inclusion specialist, not only transforming our religious school to become more accessible and welcoming, but also the rest of the congregation as well, we are on the forefront of change. Our Torah portion this week that Rabbi Kamel read, Mishpatim, tells of the many laws and commandments. Last week's Torah portion, Yitro, told us of the big kahuna commandments, those top 10 that made it to the ark. All my hobbies, like no stealing, no taking God's name in vain. But this week goes even deeper into the intricacies and nuances of social justice. It warns us against taking advantage of the widow or orphan, that we can't charge interest or on a loan to our fellows who are members of our community, and we can't take bribes. But of course, there is a repetitive commandment against harming a stranger. Torah commentator Nachmanides points out that the stranger is someone who's powerless. He relates to the fact that a stranger is separated from his usual friends and family and neighbors and surrounding and has no one to come to his defense. Therefore, this portion warns us against harming or wronging the stranger because the Israelites had to protect them or no one else would. God alone can't protect that stranger. We were the only hands that God has. But there's another reason. Nachmanides points out that strangers have psychological vulnerabilities as well. We understand this because we too were strangers in the land of Egypt. We know firsthand what it's like to be strangers. Therefore, throughout the Torah, we are warned especially to be sensitive to the cries of the oppressed, to be sensitive to the feelings of the rejected, and the plight of the unheard. So we gather tonight to celebrate our awareness of the other. The part of our community who has no voice to say, hey, I'd like to be included in the Jewish community too, but until recently had no accommodation made for them. This week's Torah portion reminds us of this fact. We may erroneously believe that being Jewish can be compartmentalized, that we can go to Hebrew school, come to Shabbat services once in a while, and give charity or tzedakah, thinking that's enough. But this portion reminds us that we can't just do Jewish things once in a while. We have to be Jewish in every aspect of our lives. Are we being inclusive at home, at work, on the street, and in our congregation? The Torah is a way of life. It presents to us a value system, which includes a moral guide for our day-to-day lives. Making our congregation and our community more accessible and our being more sensitive to others who would normally not able to be a part of it might not yield us a financial return or boost our membership numbers, and which seems to be the measure of success for many churches and synagogues of late. But we must continue to do all we can do to welcome the stranger, the marginalized, and those who feel religious institutions have forgotten them because it's the right thing to do. This is not only a Torah command, it's basic human decency. Judaism is about bringing healing where we see brokenness. So I'll end with a story. Usually my stories are feel-good chicken soup for the soul renditions of things that have happened to others to make them who they are today. But this story is more personal. You see, there was once a woman who went to graduate school as an older student. She struggled with the coursework and struggled with the rigors of academia. She questioned her decision. Maybe she didn't have what it takes to be a rabbi. But there was a dean of students who believed in this student, and he suggested that perhaps there was something else going on. Perhaps the struggle stemmed from an undiagnosed learning disability. So the student went off to get tested, and sure enough, she had indeed had a learning disability. Well, by now, you've probably caught on that that student was me. And thankfully, the school took the command not to oppress the other, literally. With the skills I learned as a result of the accommodations they provided for me, I am able to stand before you today as your rabbi. And I share this with you so that we can partner in continuing to make our congregation more accommodating, more welcoming, and more accessible as we grow in the future. And in this way, we can be true partners with God in the healing of our community and our world. Shabbat Shalom. Joel, I'd normally sing, but tonight it's just you. So you have to sing.
Well, I could play guitar. It's about like you play banjo, right? Is it? You still remember how. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Joel Spenedel, and I'm representing the Board of Directors tonight. I'd like to give a warm welcome to our congregants and guests who joined us. I have a few announcements, but indulge me for a second. Serving as Hagbah today reminded me of the many ways of how our congregation lifts up those who are in need in one way or another. In our own congregation, an instance of this is how we are working to help individuals of varying abilities be able to fully utilize our various religious, educational, and social services. My fellow lay leaders and I want to thank Rachel Wood for serving as our inclusion specialist and for driving forward the process to include all of our congregants who require one or more accommodations while being part of the Chaim community. We also lift up those whose needs are urgent, which this week happened to be our friends at Netanya Reform Congregation in Netanya, Israel, who earlier this week became victims of a heinous act of vandalism on what was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. We certainly know what being victims of vandalism feels like here at Chaim, and I'd like to thank our rabbis, our social action committee, and our lay leaders for agreeing to support Keliat Netanya and their rabbi and our friend, Edgar Knopf, in their time of need, and to all of my fellow congregants who contribute towards the funds we'll be sending to Netanya congregation to recover from the damage they suffered. We also act as part of the broader Jewish community to help those whose needs are many and more than we could possibly undertake individually or even as a congregation. This Sunday at 9:30 a.m., we'll gather for the annual JUF brunch in the social hall to both support the critical social service programs sponsored by the JUF here in the Chicago area and globally, and in Israel, of course. And we'll also listen to Gary Wasserman, a teacher, political consultant, and author. Mr. Wasserman has recently spent 8 years as a professor of government at Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service in Doha, Qatar, teaching international relations and American government. Please join me at the brunch this Sunday to support the JUF and to hear this interesting talk. Then this Tuesday, February 5th at 7:30 is when the book The Cloister will be discussed. They meet in the library and it is open to everyone. And I want to remind you that this year's congregational retreat is only 9 weeks away. April 5th through April 7th. Registration is now open, and remember, there is programming for all ages. This year's theme is L'Ador Vador, from generation to generation. If you have not come, I would suggest this is the year. This is the year you should go. I guarantee you will have an amazing time. Lastly, you need to save the date Saturday, April 13th, which is in 10 weeks. When we go back to the 1950s, we'll be rocking and rolling and dancing when we go to the hop. I've been told that the sock hop will be the best night ever. Better than Purim? How could that be? Doors open at 7 p.m., so it's not too early to start practicing your hula hooping, limbo, and jitterbug. 50s attire is optional. You know, leather jackets, poodle skirts, poodle shirts. It's a typo. Poodle skirts. Next Friday will be another special Shabbat service beginning at 8:15. But before I do, besides Rachel, who I thanked, I want to thank our rabbis for tonight's music, Ed Levy for ushering, and Marcia Sweeten for being our greeter. And tonight's owning is being sponsored by members of the Inclusion Committee. Again, next Friday night, 8:15, it is the Foundation Shabbat, and the Foundation and its contributors will be recognized for making their commitment to making sure Etz Chaim will be here for a long, long time. Shabbat Shalom.
It is now my pleasure to invite up Brenda, Stuart, and Michael Feinberg as our ark openers, as we all rise and turn to page 19 for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Everyone may be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who are no longer with us. Tonight, as a community, we remember and honor the yortzites of Jack Kaplan, Rebecca Sokol, Ida Stein, Sherwin Fox, Melvin Friedman, Giza Jacobson, Molly Niederman, May Rovins, Florence Ruby, Richard Solomon, Francis Solon, Eleanor Bernfeld, Michael Blonder, Herman Danziger, Jack Trofimo, Haskell Frumkin, Marvin Sirota, Herbert Hoffman, and Fred Mitnick. And we also mourn the recent passing of Therese Kelly, aunt of William Welter, Larry Lipkin, husband of Judy Strauss-Limpkin and stepfather of Lori Feldman, Leroy Liss, father of Judy Mindel and grandfather of Rachel Sevick, and Manu Patel, father of Anita Stoller. If anyone else is in their period of mourning or observing someone's yortzeit, please feel free to share their name as my hand passes you. We rise as one community for the mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma divrach Yirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam umei almaya Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh v'yit hadar v'yit halev v'yit halal shemei d'kudesha b'rechu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen Yehei shlamo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom b'mrama, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
V'imru amen, v'imru amen, v'imru amen, v'imru amen.
Our closing song tonight can be found on page 21, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. go out this Shabbat to joy, to rest, and to peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Okay, Yasher Koach.
That's what we feel, those are skills that we as psychologists